Hello, welcome to my build guide for the Angara. You know, I've never played the campaign, so I don't know how it's pronounced, but for the Insurgent, which there's only one race available, this is the guide. So there you go. This is a very, very powerful class, in my opinion, and feel free to disagree with me, but this is one of the strongest characters in the game, definitely top tier. You've got a couple different viable builds for it. I'm going to be going over the more support-based one. So this has the potential to be probably the best build. However, it's not useful in all situations. Therefore, you will get more versatility if you go a different route. So as you can see in my skill setup, I have no points in Trip Mine. If you did want to go with a more versatile version of this character, I would say skip out on an Assault Turret and transfer those points to Trip Mine. You'll be able to kill more stuff, so higher damage, less support, versus this is more support and less damage. And as far as leveling, you know, a lot of people might disagree with me on this, but I'm going to say go with Bioelectric Defense first. This is a great tree, and you're going to get health and shields, you're going to get melee, which we don't really care one bit about, but you're also going to get movement speed and damage resistance while evading. You're not going to need the health regeneration or the shield regeneration because you're going to have shield boost, so you're going to be refilling your shields at will instead of, you know, when your cooldown time is up or whatever. Likewise, if you're going to go with the Trip Mine build, go with capacity instead. Extra spare ammo, another Trip Mine, and increased weight capacity. It's all going to benefit that build. However, since this is the support version, we do kind of want our turret a little bit tankier. That's not super important, but the power restoration and defense, that's what we want from here. And then in tier 6, Bioelectric Ward. This is a passive that is going to give every person on your team a damage buff, or a damage resistance buff, every time they're attacked. And it's going to last for 5 seconds with a 15-second internal cooldown. Therefore, you're going to have about a 33% uptime on this buff. And when you think about it in practice, when you get attacked, one of the next things you're going to do is move to a position where you're not being attacked. So what ends up happening in practice is that this buff is up most often when you need it, and it's not up when you don't need it. So don't necessarily think of it in terms of like 33% uptime. Like in real world terms, you can think of it as having much closer to like 75% uptime, because the times that you're actually being shot, it's there. So this is a great tree. Obviously, it goes without saying, this is where I would put my points for this build, but if you're leveling, all of this stuff is going to benefit everything. You're going to want health and shields to stay alive, you're going to want damage resistance, you're going to want to give everybody on your team a defense buff, because then even if you suck, you're still helping your team with that passive. So anyways, talked a lot about that, but let's go on to the other stuff. The thing that you're going to be using the most is shield boost. This is going to recharge your shields, it's going to restore your teammates' shields that are within a nearby radius, and it's going to leave a lingering shield restore effect. So every second you're going to gain more shields, and that's really where the strength of this build or one of the strengths of this build. There's quite a few strengths, but anyways, once we get to tier 4, you're going to go with increased strength of the heals per second, or shields per second. The radius is nice, it is useful. However, it comes into one of those things where it's like, radius is going to be sometimes useful because sometimes you'll need that extra boost, but more shields per second is always going to be useful. And with this, you're going to be able to just basically sit in enemy fire and be completely safe. It's going to make you nearly invincible. Once we get to tier 5, we're going to take the recharge speed, because we want to be able to cast shield boost as much as possible. That is the most important thing. We're going to get to that a little bit more later, but you're going to want to cast this all the time. So take that. The initial shield is restored. Not super important. Again, it's the shields over time that are the real power of this ability. And then in rank 6, 100% max shields for 3 seconds, bonus max shields that is. Honestly, I don't understand why this would be useful. Maybe someone can enlighten me, but extended duration on the shields over time, since that's the most important part, why not make it even better? So get to assault turret here. And it's kind of funny, my last video I posted, I actually talked about how terrible the assault turret is, and here I am now posting a build that maxes it out. But I did mention in the engineer video that Omni-Link would be a very strong ability on other classes, and this is one of those classes. So we'll go over rank 4 first, turret health versus recharge speed. You could actually go with either one of these. There are definitely pros and cons to both of them. I've got durability, but I'm not necessarily saying it's the better choice. So you really have your choice of rank 4. Go with whatever you think would be better. In rank 5, the turret's not going to be serving a damage purpose, so having bonus damage on it is useful, and Omni-Link giving us 30% bonus recharge speed, that is where the strength comes from. So you're going to want to stay in the vicinity of your turret so that you can get both the recharge speed and keep it alive. Your turret will die very quickly if you do not stay near it, but it can actually withstand quite a bit of punishment when it's getting healed from you every second. And then since rank 5 was really what we needed with our leftover points, we might as well put him in cryo ammo. It's going to put a defense debuff on everything when it actually works. Disclaimer being that, like, I've had multiple matches where you never get your turret to shoot its rank 6 function. So when I've seen it happen with cryo ammo where the entire match, no matter how many turrets you spawn, none of them shoot cryo ammo. I've had others with flamethrower where the exact same thing happens. It never uses its flamethrower no matter how many mobs go close to it, no matter how many different turrets I spawn. So I think this ability needs to get fixed, and maybe then it will be better. But of the two, cryo ammo is going to be better because you don't want your turret out in the open. You're generally going to put it somewhere covering your flank, or even behind a wall if you don't need it to cover your flank. But generally, most of the post-up spots that you're going to be sitting in, they're generally going to have a blind side that you're going to want that turret covering. So if enemies come through there, they'll just end up attacking it and not you. So just remember to turn around and look at your turret every once in a while just to make sure nothing's killing it. This is going to be a hunker down and stay with your team build, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned that. Anyways, Omni-Link, that's what we want from Assault Turret, to cast shield boost more often, and that's honestly the entire reason. You want the recharge speed purely for shield boost. So just looking at the abilities we've gone over so far, you are getting bioelectric defense, that is giving your teammates all damage resistance buffs. You are giving your teammates constantly recharging shields through shield boost. And then the icing on the cake, I'm just going to jump to this right away, in offensive tech, giving an ally a beneficial status effect also increases that ally's damage. Now every time they're getting the bioelectric defense buff or a shield boost, they're also getting 20% weapon damage. Now I've been trying to test to see if this applies to yourself as well, and I am not sure. That's the best answer I can give you. This is another one of those cases, which this game seems to be full of, where sometimes it does seem like I have a significant damage boost. I'm killing the next enemy after I get a buff way quicker than before. Other times I don't notice it at all. So either it's working sometimes, or I've got a placebo effect going on with some of these kills, or I guess I just sucked at reading. I don't know. But either way, someone else test this, figure it out, and let me know what your findings are, because I don't have any reliable ones. We'll just go backwards from there. Rank 5, anti-armor or anti-shield. Go with whichever one you want. Again, this is another case where it really makes no difference. Take whatever you want. Rank 4, we're going to go with power effect and power duration. Power duration, extending shield boost. So yeah, the shield over time is the strongest part. Let's make it longer. And since this doesn't have like a timer, it's as long as the buff is up. So again, more reason to just have shield boost lasting as long as possible so that they can get as much 20% damage buff as possible. So the way you play the class basically is stay safe. You do not want to be charging ahead. You do not want to try and be the tank. You want to stay where your other teammates are. Since everybody's using a Vanquisher right now, they're generally behind a wall or something. Just stay right there too. Have your turret near you, covering your flank. Shield boost on cooldown every single time. You're only going to have maybe a second or two of downtime with it. Pop a shield boost or a recharge rate booster to get that down even lower. It's almost going to be up 100% of the time. It's kind of ridiculous, and as a result, it's extremely difficult to die while you've got shield boosts ticking on you, and on top of that, getting your bioelectric defense buff, like, your entire team is going to become nearly unkillable. And even if, like, your team splits off of you, if you get broken up or anything, you have a really easy time getting back to your team because you're also basically invincible. The only downside to this build being that you do need to stay in the vicinity of your turret, which ends up being the hardest part. Waves 3 and 6 being the obvious culprits for making that very difficult. So you are a little bit less powerful outside of turret range, but it's not a huge difference. You're still extremely, extremely powerful for your team, and the only thing you're losing out on is the 30% recharge and the minor benefit you get from your cryo ammo. As far as weapons go, use anything that's going to keep you under 100% recharge. You don't want your cooldown on shield boost taking longer than it has to, so again, use whatever you want. You might have noticed by my last few videos that I've become a pretty big fan of the Raptor. I like it because it's not considered a god weapon, and so people can't just, like, I don't know, basically talk shit, say like, oh, like, these builds only work because you use a Vanquisher. Like, no, these builds actually work because they work, so I'm not going to use overpowered weapons for any of them. And as far as boosts, like I said, use recharge speed is definitely the best, and then since I'm using the Raptor, I actually run disruptor ammo a lot so I can strip shields off of things as quick as possible, which also helps my team if they want to use their abilities. And the stun can be useful too, so I like disruptor ammo and recharge. And Juggernaut shield again. The only other option so far is the ammo, but I still think actually, like, Juggernaut shield has its merits. There are going to be times that an enemy's right next to you, just has a little bit of health left, like, all you want to do is just melee it to finish the thing off, and that does help with that. And I mean, 10% shields, it's not much, but hey, it's something. So give this build a shot. You'll have a blast. It's definitely awesome. And again, if you want to go with a trip mine build, go for it. Trip mines do tons of damage. They're a lot of fun to play with. Just skip out on the assault turret part of it. So let's hop into some gold gameplay and see how it plays in action. Thanks for watching.